Hello, my name is Marcelo Gameiro, and in this video I'm going to be sharing my experience with you. So I'm going to be talking about be not afraid to improve your relationships, learn how to say and to take no as for an answer, increase your network and make the most of your time. I did prepare this speech to give here in the China, one of the universities that I was teaching here. But unfortunately, I was not able to do so because they did not find a time for me to do that. But I have given other lectures before, so let's understand a little bit more what is I'm going to talk about. When I said be not afraid to, it is because some people are afraid to take action to actually improve their lives. And I'm going to talk about four specific skills. Improve your relationship and people skills for a better and more successful career. Because if you have a way with people, like you have a way to make more friends, this is going to benefit you all your life, not only in your career, but in your relationships romantically, your friendship, your colleagues, co-workers, bosses, even in your family. Learn how learn to say and how to take no for an answer. Sometimes you have to be able to say no to a person because you don't want to do business with them or you don't want to have a relationship with them because they are toxic people. If you don't learn how to say that, you're going to be a slave of the situation. So sometimes you have to say no, but sometimes you get a no. I guess many people receive lots of no's, and you have to learn how to cope with that as well. I'm going to be talking about this as well. And the third topic here is make more friends during your university years, and this is increasing your network. I was preparing this speech to give to university students. This is why I'm going to talk specifically about how to make most of your time when you are in university, actually making more friends while you are there. But I think everyone can benefit from this. And the last one, I already touched in the subject, is make the most of your time here. So this is also again for the university students. So if you make most of your time here, you're not going to look back and say, well, if I have done this, or I should have used my time better. So let's think about this right now as you are in the university for the students who are listening to this, right? So one day you're going to look back, you have no regrets. And I did this slide here because I was going to promote that speech, right? So they're going to give me a time and a date to do this. But this is not the case. So I'm going to do this online here so everyone can benefit from this speech, from this lecture. Where did I get this idea of giving lectures, right? So I remember when I was in the university, or maybe after that, I usually go. One of the degrees that I get from was from the BYU, Brigham Young University, and I got the TESOL certificate from them. And they also give a lot of lectures. So not regarding of your major, but you are free to go and listen lecture for good people who have much more knowledge in their area, so you can benefit from this. So I got this idea because I love to go there and watch those lectures. And this was one time when I volunteered myself as a teacher to give a lecture. I was in Jujo at that time. So the guy put the director of the building, chemistry building, even put this sign for me there, like welcoming me to give a lecture on that day. And this is what was the class. All of our students from the university were invited. I don't know how they did advertise this, but I also use my social media. I put a post like this, like never stop learning. This was the subject of my speech on that day, and I talk about this. It was very fun for me to do it. I thought it was very enlightening for some of the students because they participated. They have questions by the end. So this was very good for me and for them as well. So let's dive into our topic here. So, is there any guidelines to find good friends? So, we're going to be talking about this. Sometimes you only have to take actions to be the first one to take action. Because if you be waiting for someone to come to you and ask to be your friend, sometimes this is never going to happen. So you have to take actions first, and you're going to be rewarded for this. So let's go and see what I mean. Uh, the main thing that prevents you to take action sometimes is it is because you're timid, or maybe it's because of a fear of rejections. So you don't want it to go there, be nice, and ask to be a friend of this person. And they say no. No one likes rejections. So when we have fear, we stop ourselves from achieving anything, from connecting with anyone, and from feeling happy because we are afraid of being rejected. For example, who never felt afraid of being rejected from the boy or girl you like? Maybe you have a crush when you are younger in university or whatever. Remember something like that, right? Everyone kind of fall in love in some point in time. And then you are afraid to go and talk to that person and be rejected, right? So I put this as an example because I think every one of us can relate to this. We end up convincing ourselves that we are not interested at all, or even that she's not that pretty. And sometimes we don't take action because we feel like well, the main reason, no, the reason really is because we are afraid of being rejected. But we convince ourselves that she's not that pretty, so this is the real reason. It's not because of I am afraid of doing this. So we have to acknowledge that what is the real reason, so we can actually change something in our lives to become better, right? Because if you don't acknowledge the real reason, is most likely that you're not going to change that. So in that case, which one is gonna be? So you're gonna be feel, well, she's not that pretty. I'm not gonna talk to her. So you're gonna be this guy here, lonely, kind of thinking, what if I have done this? What if I have tried to do this? Or you're gonna be this guy here, get the girl. At least if you don't get the girl, you know that you'll not be thinking about what if I have asked. We're gonna be talking about this as well, right? So which one is gonna be? Are you gonna take action and actually see that you get a real chance with this person, or are you gonna be this lonely guy here thinking, what if I have tried at least, right? What might have happened? This is an important question to ask, to know thyself. How does your fear dress up? So why did I bring this question up is fear is a very interesting thing because it's never show up as fear, always show up as something else. So our fear dresses up in something different than fear itself. So let's see this. For example, someone is going to ask you a favor, like if you're going to speak in public, can you speak in my wedding? You're my good friend, right? I want to ask you to be my best man, and I want to ask you to give some speech in my wedding. But you hate to speak in public, right? So you become angry with this person for another reason, and that will discourage this person to ask this favor, and you don't even know the real reason you become angry. Let me give you another example. For example, let's use the example of speaking public. This is the most people are afraid of. And then when the people ask you this, they're gonna say, "Oh, well, can you do this tomorrow for me?" And all of a sudden, you become sick today. And that the real reason your body becomes sick is to prevent you to go and speak in public. So your fear is always dressing up in something else. So how is your fear dressing up? So it is a denial, it's anger, defensiveness, neediness, meanness. So cause us to think the fearful thoughts. And the way they dress up is the real reason is I'm not good enough. I am less than. I don't care. I'm better than. I'm not special. This is the real reason that you are afraid of, and that this is how it dresses up. So let's dive into the fear of science. And this is from the Joseph E. Lee books. They study fear and they come up with some conclusions. Fear has actually two roads. They call low road and the high road. Low road is the automatic response. It's intuitive, it's primary fear response. It helps us to survive. Let's see if you walk in the bushes in the middle of the forest and you see a snake. You don't have to think about it. You start running, right? So it's help us to protect, help us to survive. And the next road is the high road. It is the logical one. It's thoughtful, secondary fear response. It helps us to thrive. For example, if you're running from the snake, now that you are away from the snake, you start thinking logically. So was that snake poisonous? Was I really into danger? So maybe you can go there and be more careful of the snakes, right? You kind of start thinking, rationalize things, having your have your mind working. But when you're in the first response here, your mind is not working. You're just running away. So the second one help us to thrive. So this is the fear response and first fear response, and this is the secondary fear response. I'm going to put you in a situation here, a situation of the accident. Okay. So in the accident, into 12 milliseconds, you hit the brake, your heart start pumping blood, and your eyes wide open because you wanted to see the situation because you're gonna go into an accident. So you try to prevent that from happening, and this is the fear response. So when you see this accident, this is your automatic response. This is the first fear response. After the automatic one, maybe 30 or 40 milliseconds after that, you go to the second fear response. And this is when you start to thinking. So should I call 911? Should I pull over and offer help? Should I turn around and run away because this is a dangerous situation? So trigger first response, and this is an example for you to understand how the fear works, right? So now let's see this in a social event. Let's say you go to a networking event and then someone gives you this dirty look and you feel awkward because you feel kind of a weird, somebody's giving you this dirty look. So somebody, it could be a awkward pause, somebody's giving you this dirty look on the network event. And then maybe you go to the first fear response. So what happening here, right? So this triggered the fear response. As we stay in fear, it prevents us to move to the second fear. Sometimes you don't go off from the first fear response, and this is prevent us to get to the second fear response. This is more logical. So if you stay in the first fear response, you're not going to use the situation for your advantage. Maybe because somebody give you a dirty look, you're not going to talk to this person because you're always in the fear of being rejected or they don't like you. But if you go to the second fear response, it's kind of being logical. So what's happening? Is that dirty look really was for me or something else happening here? And if you go and talk to this person, you might discover that's not, it has nothing to do with you. But if you don't go to the second fear response and if you stay in the first one, you are not being able to take action. I mean, logical actions. You're never gonna get a connection with anyone because you are in the stay in the first fear response. So how do we take control of this on us? Because this is happening naturally. You don't have to think, well, I'm gonna go to the first fear response and then to the second one. So this is a natural. It happens automatically in us. So I call this, some people give this name from the people that from the person that I learned this from, they call this Fearvana. So let's use the same name here. So this is about examining, interpreting, and reframing our fears with compassion. Let's understand this better. The first thing that you have to do is introspection, the examination of observation of your own mental and emotional process with curiosity instead of judgment. So this is when you're learning about yourself. So what are the situations that you are afraid of and how does your fear dresses up in you, in your situation? For example, maybe I was very afraid to speak in public, and when I got in the situation that somebody's going to invite me or ask me to do this, I usually get sick. I usually get anger. So I'm trying to avoid the situation, and sometimes I'm not even aware of this. So this is when you're trying to understand yourself better. And then you're gonna build up a fear file. So what are your social fear triggers? Maybe pitching, flirting, teasing. Sometimes you don't go and talk to girls because you are afraid of being rejected. And now we're gonna also in your fear file. So see, which is this is the triggers and how your fear is gonna dress up. So when you see a beautiful girl and you want to talk to her, you always get something. How does your fear dress up? So you become defensive, you become shy, or you become mean, or people pleasing. You try to please people to avoid them to ask you or to do something with you, or you start showing off. You become cocky. So how does your fear dress up? After you build this file, you know yourself a little bit better. So you know how to take action to become better. So let's go in the next part. Now you have your fear file, right? Now fear triggers, right? Negotiation. You don't like to negotiate, so it triggers your fear. You become defensive. So now reframe name worth check. So what is? Let me give you an example here. They did a study with people that is skydiving. Most people are afraid of jumping off the airplanes. I believe that I would be. I never did this before, but if I have to go and jump outside of the plane, this is might be something that might scare me a little bit. I mean, maybe a lot of scaring to do this. So people who were calm on the ground had the most trouble jumping once up. So it means, for example, if you are hiring a course to skydiving and you are on the ground saying, well, I'm okay, I'm a tough guy. So you try to soothe yourself saying that I'm okay. So people who are most calm in the ground have the most trouble. Let's see why. Uh, because they are okay in the ground, they do not get support for their teammates. They don't get the support for the instructor because they see you as you're calm, you're okay, you don't need that support. And when you get up there and then you become scary, you become wow, I didn't expect to be like this. You are kind of afraid to show that you are scary in the ground, you're a tough guy. So by not recognizing the first fear response, you try to not recognize this is not happening with me. I'm not afraid of this. They are not able to reframe their fear. They're not able to get the support or reassurance. And this is why they get the most trouble when they have to jump out of the plane. So what does the reframe do to us? Interpreting your inner happenings for emotional clarity. Stanford researchers found it easier to reframe thoughts than repress them. So when you reframe your fear, it's easier for you to deal with your fears than you trying to repress them. So we call this name and tame. Labeling your emotion lessens your psychological reactions in the amygdala. Amygdala is something that we have here inside our heads, right? It's responsible for this feeling that we have of fear. Lowering our fear response. For example, I'm afraid to speak in public. And then I'm going to put a name on that fear. This name is going to be my 6-year-old little Marcelo. So my 6-year-old is coming back. When people come in to talk, ask me to do speaking public, I say, well, my 6-year-old is coming back. I'm afraid to do this. So I'm rename that fear as my 6 years old Marcelo. You can put any name you wanted. Just by reframing, you lower your fear response. And this is a very good thing because it's a very simple tactic. And they actually study this and find this in their research. So clarity. This angle is showing up as a fear. So you did the introspection, so you know yourself a little bit better. So noticing how it cross-dresses. Turn negative self-talk into clarifying self-talk. Instead of just being negative, you try to understand yourself better. No need self-positive talk. Only clarifying, only to understand yourself better. And then you're gonna rename your fear. Remember, reframing, renaming. My 10-year-old self is coming back on this situation because I'm afraid to speak in public. I didn't go through the other questions here, right? So what trigger and why it's happening again. So this is clarifying part. And then you rename it and then make love to your fear. So research has shown self-compassion helps take the sting out of a fear. So embrace your fear, right? So admit that you have fear. Maybe you get help from your loved ones. Maybe you're gonna have from your co-workers, your instructor. They're gonna be cheering for you when you speak in public, and then you because you have all this support, it's gonna be easier for you. You don't have so much trouble. So this is happening when the people are skydiving, because people who are really afraid, they get the support all the way up when they get up there. So they get the support in the class for their teammates. So let's jump together. So they get support for the instructor. I'm gonna be on your side all the time, instead of the guy who's showing up. Well, no, I don't need this. I'm okay. So they might get the most of the trouble because they're kind of trying to repress the fear. Now I'm going to talk about a challenge that I always give to my students here in China. This is kind of a mini challenge. I was teaching here many different subjects. I already teach finance, I teach business, I teach mathematics, and has nothing to do with those subjects. But many people are shy, so I kind of took the time, maybe a part of one class, to give them this challenge. It's gonna help them to become better than become. Become become themselves, but in a better way, improve themselves. So I always give this to my students. So I came in China as a teacher, and I did have no problem to speak in public, because as a teacher you should have no problem to speak in front of people, right? So speaking in front of all your students. So this is very normal for me. But to talk to a stranger still was a different story. So I was a little bit scary to go and talk to a stranger to make friends. But I didn't have no problem in speaking public. So we are all different. We have different difficulties, right? So this is the challenge. And then this is also become a paper in a conference that I here in China. So if you want to read about my paper, this is the proceeding of the 5th International Conference in Social Science and Economic Development. This conference is about this, but my paper is about social science. You can go to this website and look, and you can maybe search Google ECSSED 2020. I published this paper. It's about the challenge that I'm going to explain to you right now. It's about people skills, right? Power posing. This is the name of the challenge, power posing. So let's go and see it. I was reading a lot about improving my social skills and people skills, and I decided to do something about it. And then I decided to pass along what I learned to my students, because I was a little bit afraid of talking to strangers. To make friends was not very easy for me. So after learning this, I thought, well, I'm going to share this with my students, because many of them are going through the same problem. And this is what helps me a lot. So let's go and see. In this experiment, they measured the level of the cortisol and the testosterone before power posing. And the power posing changed the level of the hormones, increasing the testosterone and decreasing cortisol, providing the feedback loop. So testosterone is the good hormone, and cortisol is the stress hormone who makes you feel bad. And they did this experiment. They asked people to do the power posing. We're going to see in a moment what is the power posing position. And when you do the power posing, the levels of the good hormone who makes you feel better increases, and the level of the cortisol decreases when you do this power posing. So it's kind of a feedback loop. When we act like confident body, when we act like in a confident position, like making this power posing, our body produces the very hormone who make us feel more confident. And the same thing happens when the lower pose. So the lower pose is the opposite. The body produces the hormone who makes you feel worse, produce more cortisol. So when you do the power posing, your testosterone increases. This is the good hormone, and your bad hormone cortisol decreases. And when you do the lower power position, it's the opposite. Your cortisol increases, makes you feel even worse, and your testosterone decreases. So high power increases testosterone and decreases cortisol, while lower power decreases testosterone and increases cortisol. So here is the lower power position. You take less space, you feel more timid, right? And this is the high power position. You take more space, you open arms, you feel more confident. So when you take this body position, like you're feeling confident, even though if you are not, your body starts to producing the good hormone, which is testosterone, who makes you feel even better. It's kind of a vicious cycle. So it's a feedback looping start happening and makes you feel even better and better. So one day maybe you wanted to go to a job interview. Instead of being sitting in the waiting room, like looking your phone, like here looking your phone in a lower power position, you should be like maybe holding a newspaper, open arms, taking more space. You're gonna feel more confident when you're doing the interview. You do this unconsciously because your body is feeling more confident. So here it is the challenge that I'm giving to my students. This is the power posing challenge. Take 3 pictures with strangers in the power posing posture. I could not ask my students to do something that I was not going to do first, because of course they would ask, well, did you did that, teacher? So it was easy. How come you're asking us to do something that you're not doing yourself? So I needed to go outside and ask people to do this thing before asking my students. So here I was doing exactly that. So this was in Huzhou, Hunan province. So I went to the shopping mall and asking people, and for me it's kind of hard because I don't speak Chinese. So sometimes I go and start talking to people and they say, well, I don't understand you. So it's very hard for me maybe only to find people who can speak English. But I was able to do so. And I asked people and explained that I was a teacher. This was my project in class, and I asked them to take the picture. Here I am taking the picture. So this is me with a stranger, completely stranger. I just met them in the mall and then took those pictures with them. And was again in another city. So instead of using the old pictures, I went and take new pictures to propose the challenge for my students in Huzhou. So when I was in Huzhou, every time they move me in another province here in China, I need to go to the police station and register myself. And this is the building. And from this building, I saw this mountain here, and they have this building here. It's kind of a museum, so people can go there. It's kind of a park as well, so people go there and walking and relaxing. So I thought, oh, well, I'm gonna go and visit that place, and perhaps I will find people there that I can ask to take this power posing position. So I saw a couple ladies here in the park walking, and I sat and talked to them, and they said no for me. And then a group of 6 people on the way up, also here in the mountain, they also said no for me. I have 3 attempts and 3 no's in a row. I put this slide to show my students that is not as a foreigner here, people think that everything is easier for me. So it's easier for me to go and talk to strangers because there's not so much foreigners in here. So they feel like it was easier for me, and I never get a no as an answer. But I wanted to show them that that's not the case. So I also get a no as well. And when you get rejected, it feels a little bit harder to go and talk to the next person. And here I am was trying to do this challenge and getting 3 no's in a row. So after 3 no's, you feel like, well, this is not my day, and maybe I should stop doing it. But let's see what happened. On my way, I went up there and see the building, see the city from the top of the hill. It was fine. I take some pictures. And then when I was getting down on the hill, I saw the same 6 people, the same 6 students. And then I asked them. On my way down, I meet the same group of 6 people on the way up because I was going faster, so saw the building, and then I was going down while they're still going up. And then I asked them again. At this time they agreed to take a picture with me, and it was kind of a funny way for me to ask them. So this is your last chance, and may perhaps never gonna see me again. So are you gonna take a picture with me or not? The problem was in the last group of students when I was in judo, I was only showing the pictures where they agree to take the picture with me. Because if they say no for me, I don't have a picture to show them. And this is why they're thinking that it was easier for me. But in this case, I was just make this new presentation and tell them, well, I get also as no as many of you. So I'm not special. And I was telling you, explain this. They think that was so easy for me. I was under the impression that my students did think that was easy for me, right? So maybe because I was not showing my rejections, or because it would be easy for a foreigner like me, I tried to do something different because I wanted to show them that I was also getting no as an answer. So I put a cell phone in my pocket, like here, and the camera pointing out, and I went to do the same thing, the same project. And I was asking people to take the power posing pictures with me. And I was recording them, and I record few people saying, no, I don't want to take a picture with you. And sometimes people think that I'm going to do bad stuff with the picture. And then I put the recording in the Youku. Youku is kind of the YouTube here in China. And then I give the link to my students. I say, well, you can go there and see that I also get many no's. But to show my rejections to them, right? But of course, I end up getting many more yeses as a consequence. And I was making friends in the consequence of doing this project. Because when I start talking to people, they get to know that I was a teacher teaching them, and then not teaching them, teaching in their city. And then we exchanging contacts like WhatsApp. WhatsApp is they don't have WhatsApp here, but we use WeChat here in China. So I exchange contact with them, and sometimes I even keep talking with them for a few days, right? So I will end up making lots of friends just because of this project. And the more you do, it becomes easier. It's become easier because you get more relaxed. You knew that it's a matter of numbers, right? Some people will say no, and some people will say yes. And if you keep doing it, you get some yeses. So the more no's you get, it is that you are close to getting a yes. So I'm getting more yeses than no's in my trying to do this. Truth to be told, I become very good at talking to strangers. I end up talking to anyone, anywhere, anytime, using any excuse. And this has got the better of me, right? Because I kind of enjoy doing this. When the people said no, I want to talk to the next person. I did not start not minding receiving no's anymore. So I start chatting people like this. Do you speak English? Where are you going so fast when people are walking or whatever? Wow, I like your dress. I did use those lines many times to do this, right? Can you help me find this street? Even though I'm not looking for something, I kind of pretend that I was looking for something. I was looking at you from here. I was looking at you from there, and I might as well come and say hello, and said hello. I use those kind of a very simple lines here. It's kind of, they say it's a pickup line, whatever that is. So very good. I did not mean successful all the time. It means that I did not succeed all the time. Some people are not don't want to talk to you, right? So what can you do about it, right? But I end up making friends, end up being not afraid to speak with strangers anymore, and I end up making lots of friends just because of this simple project. Let me tell you a little bit more about this, right? And this is the stop bus. So this is when I went to buy tickets from the train stations, and then I was coming back to university by bus. And this is what the line formed from my line, from my bus. My bus is 39. I'm not talking about this person here, right? Because the next person is gonna be just beside me in this position here. So when people come and line up after me, so I'm gonna start talking to them. Well, do you speak English? Are you a student? Because this bus go to straight to the university. It was very easy to make friends. And inside the bus, because when I was the first one to get in, I was going to get seated. I never sit in that this seating that has the one spot. I always sit in those uh, when they have two spots, right? I sit and then the next place besides me is always empty. So it means somebody will sit there because when the bus is getting filled up and no more empty seats, somebody's going to sit beside me. And then this is my way of this is my my chance to start talking to this person. And this is I always did this. So this is my friends that I did when I was riding the bus, right? So one, two, every time I ride the bus, I make a new friend. And this is off the bus, and this is the bus, right? So it becomes very easy because I was doing over and over again. And this has become my second nature. So this is when I was the high-speed train station. This is, as you can see here, that's lots of people to talk about it, and you can find an excuse to talk to them, right? So this person here was wearing this different dress. This girl also wearing this different dress. It's very beautiful. It's kind of represent their culture, and it's very nice for me to easy as well to stop them. Well, this is a very nice dress. What does it mean? And they explain that this is mean about their Chinese culture. And I asked them, well, can you take a picture together? Can you exchange contact in WeChat? It's becoming very easy to do this. And I always start enjoying doing this and making a lot of friends here in China. And I find out it's very easy. And perhaps I have this impression now that's easier to make friends here in China than I was back in Brazil. Because I was doing this so much here that in my mind it's because here it's easy to do. Not right? But anyway, maybe it's easy to do in Brazil as well, but I was not doing there, so I don't have that impression in my mind. This I also did a lot of things here as well. For example, I was always eating in the canteen at the university canteen. So one day I make this kind of a note here and put in the table saying, feel free to sit here. I'm looking for friends. Actually, that did not work. Nobody ever stopped and sit in my table because of this note here. So feel free to sit here and looking for friends. So this is never worked for me. So it means that I needed to be the one who take the first action. It means you have to take the initiative, not no one's going to do it for you. And the project that I was taking, the Power Posing Challenge, is about me taking the first step, taking the initiative. So instead of waiting for people to sit with me, I start seeing tables with empty spot. So most of the table all the table has 4 places, right? But not all of them has 4 people sitting. So I went to right beside of the table. Said, well, can I use this spot here? Can I sit with you guys? And then I start talking to them, and I make lots of. This has become the easiest way of making friends in China. Eating in the canteen and asking to sit with them. Sometimes, of course, I sit with people who does not speak any English. It's very hard to talk to them, but most of the students actually had a little bit of English, and they appreciated the opportunity to sit with a foreigner to practice their English. And also, it becomes my pleasure to talk with them, to get to know them, and when they start knowing that I'm also a teacher teaching at their university, it's become very easy to make friends with them. So as you can see, I did this a lot, right? This is many pictures that I took when I was doing just what I explained to you, making friends. And I took the initiative. When I was waiting for somebody to sit with me because of the note, nobody did. But when I start doing it, asking people to sit, this is happening. This is was becoming very easy to me to make friends with them. And I not only did that in the canteen at the university because it was easier in the university, I can tell you that. But because I was getting so good in doing this and not being afraid anymore, I was doing this in the park. This is in the West Lake in Hangzhou. And this was in the fashion show inside of the university. I even took the picture of the models, the pretty models here. So was in the city theater ticket office. So I make friends with her. So I didn't have to go there and ask, well, do you still have tickets available? And that is because I took the initiative to ask her, well, can you have your contact? Even maybe invite her to go out. Well, the maximum that I can get is a no, but I'm not afraid of no's anymore. And this is the arts building. You're watching the concert presentation. This is from my lobby of my apartment. She helped me with something with my phone. And this is in the street. This is in the library. So everywhere was a place to make friends. And this was in the metro in Hangzhou. I was thinking if I should take a chance to talk to this person. I was there. There's not a crowded subway here. And what if I had not tried out? So what happened if you wanted to talk to someone, you find someone attractive, or you just want to make a friend, and then you feel like, well, I'm afraid to go there and get rejected. So if you don't try out, it means that later on you will be thinking, well, what if I have tried, right? So the thing is, if you don't try, you always have this in your mind. What if I have tried? But if you did try, it means that you have your answer. It may be even a no, you get rejected. But you don't have in your mind, what if I have tried? You deserve to know that answer. It's a kind of a self-respect. It increases your courage, your resilience. And also it shows that you respect yourself because you deserve that answer. Some reasons you should always tell someone how you feel about them. So I put some reasons here. So let's go over them. Set yourself free from false expectation and imagination. So she was not what I expected. So I remember when I went to talk to her, she was not what I expected. And then I didn't have to be living with the impression that what if I have talked to her? I know because I did try, I didn't like the interaction with her. So this is off my mind. I don't have to be thinking, well, what if? Right? The second reason here, you deserve to have an answer to what may come in the future. So if you're attracted to that girl, you go there and talk to her. You might get a no, but then you take that out of your mind. You don't be thinking the next day or maybe the next month, what if I have tried to talk to her? It builds your courage and resilience. It means that you have a self-awareness and true self-respect. You respect yourself because you deserve the answer. And I can tell you this, it feels really good because you're not afraid to do this. You might be in the beginning, like I was telling you my experience, but as you persist in doing it, it becomes easier and easier, and the no's doesn't matter anymore because somebody will say yes. It's natural to get no's sometimes, right? And you may never had another chance. Perhaps was your last chance to see this person, especially when you're talking in the street like me here in China. I don't know, maybe next year I won't be here anymore. Maybe I'll never come back to this country. But what if I have taken the chance to talk to this person? I may never have that chance again. So think about this. These are really good reasons for you to talk to a person. When you persist in doing something, that thing becomes easier to do. And that is because your capacity to do increase and you become better at, right? So keep doing and it becomes easier for you. I wanted to talk to you about something also that is my personal experience. Was a picture of me when I was living in Canada. I did live in Canada from 2000 until 2003. I'm kind of like this year. I'm not sure anymore, but I think I lived there until 2003. I lived 2 years in Canada, almost 2 years. And I used to take my dog to swim in the Ontario Lake. And my dog loves to pursue the ducks. So this is my dog going after the ducks. And as a natural thing, the ducks are going away from the dog, right? I want you to apply the same principle that I'm going to explain to you here. And this is principle I'm going to show you in the next slide. So when trying to make friends, Do not force any situation. Please go out to meet, please implore begging people to be your friend. This is not a good thing, or anyone to be your friend. So pay attention. This is principle really does work, okay? So one day I start calling my dog, please come back, it's time to go home. When she was coming back, the dog started following her. It's kind of a feel a little bit weird for me because, well, the dogs now are following her. So it's really strange, right? When she was going after, they are spreading, they're going away. But when she's turned back and coming to my direction, the dogs starts following her. It was kind of a weird for me, but I learned something on that day. Remember, you have to take the initiative because no one is going to read your mind. No one is going to, they're also afraid of being rejected, and sometimes they would not take the action. But you have to take the initiative and take the action. But when you do take action, it demonstrates consideration for the other person. You are giving them your time, your attention. In short, you are saying, I like you and I wanted to be your friend. Who does not want to hear that, right? So it is most likely that people will say yes when you approach them in a friendly manner. But when you go start doing this, you may feel a little bit awkward. You may feel a little bit nervous, and they can sense that. And this is going to reduce the yes you're going to get. But when you become more relaxed and they say no, that's okay, the next person is going to say yes, they feel you better. They feel they're relaxed. They feel that you are confident, and the chances of getting a yes is going to increase. Because when you do this, it's going to tell them that you're giving them your time, your attention. In short, you are saying this. Who wants not to hear that? Let me illustrate with a personal example. I thought I was making a good friend with this person. I was in Hojo at this time, and we have eaten in the canteen a few times. Sometimes she asked me, "Well, are you free? Can we eat together today?" And we talk inside of campus, sometimes walking around the lake. So I was starting a good friendship with this person. And I was going to Hangzhou, and I did find out that she was going there too. She was going there because she was going to do a test, English test, and it has to be done in another city. So I was going there for another reason, but I was going there in the same weekend. And I find out that we could maybe go together, right? So I thought it was nice. We can go together, and she can get a practice English with me for free in the train, right? Where we are riding together to the Hangzhou. And this is exactly what happened on that day. So she messaged me, and I thought she was already catching the bus. So I run to the bus station and get the next bus. And I thought that she was gone when I got to the bus station. I went to the bus alone to the high-speed station, and I did find out that she did not have taken the bus yet. And then I kind of feel like, well, what happened here? Because I run to the bus station, thinking that she's already took the bus, and then I ride the bus alone. When I get to the train station, I did not find her. So I messaged her, and she told me, well, I was not even took the bus yet. So the first point I want to make is give the chance to the other person to an explanation. Misunderstand happens all the time. And I saw many people who get angry right away. Well, you dumped me, what are you doing to me? And then they don't give a chance for them. And sometimes this is only a genuine mistake. So don't be that person, right? Be hard on person that only because of misunderstanding. So instead of being hard on her, kind of dumping her as my friend, I was giving her the chance to explain. So here it is. It was I messaged her, and she feel really sorry, and I thought, well, it was really a misunderstanding. And then I tell her something like this. This is my message to her. Sometimes people say yes to be polite, but then they keep ditching you. I rather get a no so that I can spend time with people who really appreciate my company. And I'm saying this to you, and I'm saying not. I am not saying you did this. I am really appreciate your friendship, so So just so you know me a little bit better. So I'm telling her that I was giving her the chance to explain, and she was sorry. And I thought, well, oh, it's already solved. I was telling her that the misunderstanding is not a problem. It happens all the time, as long as we communicate. And then what happens now? So if you're in my situation, she tell you that she was sorry, that she missed the bus, that you misunderstood, that you could not get together. So when I was in the train station, she was gonna to arrive there, right? So I was waiting for her over there. And then after 30 minutes, when the train started to boarding, and I did not see her yet, and I messaged her. She's this is was her message. She was very clear that she wasn't trying to avoid me. But then I'm not thinking anything. Ha, this is why I'm thinking talking to you. I did this to and this is I did ask if it was a misunderstanding or something else. So we clarified the misunderstanding here. So I was in the train station 15 minutes before her, right, waiting for her. So uh, in my situation I was waiting for her to arrive and come to talk to me. Of course, right? Who wouldn't be waiting for that? Put yourself in my place. What do you expect to happen now when she gets to the train station? Right? I was waiting for her to arrive and then come to talk to me. 30 minutes later, when people start to boarding in the train, I message her again. Where are you? Where are you going? You are going to miss the train. Then she replied, I am already in the train. And then I thought, well, what happened here, right? So did I miss something here? So it's a normal behavior when you miss your friend, when you get the opportunity to talk to them, you go and talk to them, right? But she was avoiding me. So at that point in time, there was no point for me to message her and ask, well, are you avoiding me? She was clearly avoiding me after just solving the first misunderstanding. From that point, I guess I did not need to ask her again if she was avoiding me. Sometimes when you get an honest no, it's a much better answer than a dishonest yes. Think about it. I buy the ticket together with her. I was waiting for her. I was kind of changing my plans a little bit because of her, and she was saying no. She was saying yes to me. If she said no, it would save me a lot of time, right? This is a sign of respect and consideration. She did not give me that. So it's much better to receive a no. Think about this when you receive a no from people. For example, let's say you go and talk to a girl. She's already had a boyfriend. She didn't like you. She doesn't want to go out with you. So why does make you think that she's into you when she's not? You're gonna start making attempts to contact her. You're gonna waste your time because she's not going to have any intentions with you. So it is a sign of respect to receive no. Think about this. So if you think about this, when you receive no, it's not going to hurt you so much, right? I was getting in my activity a little bit late to be able to go with her. I also bought my tickets to come back a little bit later to be able to come back with her. So I wouldn't have done this, right? I guess it's not hard to see that an honest no would be much better than when she say yes and keep trying to beat you to avoid you. Next day, I did not even try to speak to her. I went early to the train station, changed my ticket, and came back early on that day. I never spoke to her again. I even there I did not even have that in my mind. I not spoke to her because she didn't want to stay to talk to me anymore. So why would I be wasting my time with people who does not want to be with me? While I can have so much more people that wants to be with me. It's a much more pleasurable experience, right? To be with people that appreciate your company. So why do you want to spend time with someone who does not appreciate your company, right? Don't chase after ducks. If you stop chasing, they're gonna chase you. Remember when I showed you the picture of my dog coming back and the ducks start to following her. Do the opposite. Spend time and energy with the ones who appreciate you and your company. Your experience will be much better. And I can tell you this, it really is true. For example, on that day that I was going to the Hangzhou and I was supposed to be with my friend, I'm not being like oh he ditched me, being kind of a negative in a negative mood. So instead of doing this, I went to make more friends. So I make this friend at the rail station, this one in the bus ride, and this was in the subway. So I made three new friends on that weekend in Hangzhou. I don't need to have friends who does not want to be with me. They're not really my friends, right? Sometimes you have to say no to defend your values, and that may be hard sometimes. But don't be afraid to say so, especially if it was not for your benefit. So this is was what was when I was in Huzhou. I was in Huzhou. So I have this foreign teachers who asked me to go in a bar. They usually do some activities like playing some games. And I thought, well, I never have been there. I thought it was going to be fun, so I went there. It was really kind of a bar. They start drinking and smoking, and I was the only one who was not drinking and not smoking. And pretty much after 30 minutes, I was the only one who was not laughing on their jokes. And now I start feeling a little bit weird in that situation. So I left, and I bet nobody noticed. I don't know if they noticed or not. So I'm not have nothing against with people who smoke or drink, but I'm not into those things, right? So I believe I have a better lungs and I don't have a liver or any disease that are related to this. I believe my health is much better because of this. And I was kind of having much more fun when I stay with my students, with students that they don't kind of do those things. So sometimes you have to say no because why are you kidding yourself or other people, right? So if you're saying yes, they're gonna keep inviting you. They're gonna keep thinking that they're gonna be not feeling well in their presence because they're doing something that is not very nice. What I mean nice is their jokes as kind of a I don't use the same words that they're using. I kind of wanted to always have a clean fun, right? Not smoking, not drinking, not doing any sexual thing or whatever. I really not into those things. So why would I be wasting my time being with those people, right? So this is just my way of thinking. If you think in the same way, you're gonna be putting yourself in the position, then you appreciate more the people that you are with, and that they appreciate you more. So don't be mad or receive no for an answer. This is a sign of respect as well. The next slide is one of my posts in the in the WeChat, right? This is when I went to Hangzhou. I went there because I was going to my church branch and we have this activity, so we have a lot of fun there, a kind of a talent show. It was really fun, and I made those three friends that I told you about. And was clean fun because in my church we don't smoke, we don't drink, and it was very nice. I hope you'll be happy and make more friends. So this is my students who saw my post, and they kind of see that I'm really happy in China because I was able to make a lot of friends here, staying with people who are the same values and the same values that I have. So I have no problem in staying with people who participate in the same values that I have. I had this nice weekend in Hangzhou and no one need to smoke or drink to enjoy the fun. Just clean and pure fun and end up making three new friends going to this activity. This was a lucky day. I even won an Oscar for my movie production that you can watch now on Youku. I still believe my movie was still there. And here's the link if you can copy and paste. Right? So yeah, my movie is still there. So I was kind of did this and this was my talent on that day. And this was the talent show. People are playing violin, doing some physical gymnastics. People are singing, and after that we have good food. Nobody was drinking alcohol there. Nobody was smoking. In short, be careful because you may find you are looking for. So, if you're looking for good people, good friends, you may find them if you take the steps to look for them. Take action, right? Be the first one to take action. So let me share another real story to illustrate the importance of values and high standard living. This guy had a reputation for honesty, and his name was Herbert J. Grant. He turned down an appointment in the Naval Academy and pursued business interests. He becomes a business owner. He's kind of a businessman, right? He pursued them with a vigor through good times and bad, through success and reversals. He talked in such courage and well-earned credentials that not even his comparative. It was set to record in the maximum of 1 hour, so it did stop recording. So I just turned on again. So let's keep going. So this guy was a businessman, and he was very young when he started his business. But even his youth did not prevent him to work well in his business, right? So he walked in such a courage and a well-earned credentials that not even his comparative youth stood in his way. By the time he became the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Herbert had many friends in the world of business, right? So whose admiration for his ability and integrity was so great that they simply took the position that nothing he had anything to do with could be at least a bit dishonest or bad. So they know that he was such an integrity man, then he would deny anything wrong in any institution that he was becoming part of. And now this is the interesting part here. He wrote one of the experience I had in with his friend. I had a letter from one preeminent person in the world, so far as his business affairs are concerned. He was a manager of a great corporation, and he said, "Never thought very much of the leaders of the Mormon people. In fact, I thought they were very bright, keen, design lot of fellows, getting rich from the tithes that they gathered from a lot of ignorant, superstitious, and overzealous religious people." So this guy had a really bad impression about Mormons. Think that they're kind of taking advantage of the tithes they're receiving from the people who are ignorant. But now that you are one of the 15 men ahead of the Mormon church, I apologize for the other 14. I know that if there were anything crooked in management of the Mormon church, you would give it all away. So this is what reputation can do for you, right? I'm talking about ethics here, right? So let me tell you a story that I had with my students in 2002 when I was a university student, when I was a university teacher in Brazil. I was teaching this class, and the principal came to me and asked me for substitute for a new class. The teacher have dumped this class, and he was fired, so they didn't have any teacher to substitute for him. And he asked me if I could accept one more class just for that semester. It was by the end of the year and will be only for 2 months. And I did teach this class. It's kind of hard to control them. I was teaching in the night time. They usually work. Most of the students working during the day, so they're kind of tired when they're watching my classes. And they're talking too much. I have to stop my class and say, "Oh, please be silent." And then I did one experience when I give them a test. I give them a test, and they did the test and I collect the test back. And then the next week, I give them their test and ask them, "Now we're going to correct the test." So I put the right answer in the blackboard and ask, "Well, if you see that your answer is correct, mark 1 point." So I did this in all the tests. And then after completing the correction of the test, I asked them, "Now you add every one that you got right, and then you dictate your grade to me." And I was kind of making notes of their grades. And some students saw this as an opportunity to increase their grades, right? So by the end of the class, I noticed only 3 students did not increase their grades. And then I took the copies I make of their test and said, well, I already correct your test, but I correct your copy. And then I noticed that many of you increase your grades. So next class, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, how I'm going to deal with this. So this is not important for me to tell how I deal with this, but I wanted to share with you that nowadays it's becoming really, I don't know, it seems that to take advantage is the norm, right? But I think of if you put yourself in the place of those students who increase their grades, do you think that they can ask me as their teacher to give them a reference? Of course not, right? Because they're not acting in the good way, in an ethical way. So think about that. Always somebody's watching, right? You have a reputation to manage throughout your life, right? So we talk a little bit about many of these subjects, right? I talk a lot about increasing your network and making friends, right? So you have to take action to be the first one, be nice. You're gonna make lots of good friends. You're also gonna improve your people skills, not being afraid to talk to people. Sometimes it's just because you're afraid, you don't know how to talk to people. But if you start doing this, you'll get better. We talk a little bit about saying no. It means that you respect people, right? Sometimes it means that you're not gonna waste their time because you don't want it to do what they wanted to do. That's why you say no. And then you're showing them respect instead of wasting their time, right? So the same thing gonna happen the opposite way. Sometimes you say no, sometimes you get a no. And if you understand that it's a sign of respect, they're not wasting your time, you're gonna take no as in a much better way. So improve your relationship and your people skills for a better and more successful career. If you deal with better with people, you're gonna have a much better career. So you get a better way of dealing in negotiation of salary and many other things, right? Getting a job. Now I'm gonna talk to you a few other things, right? I'm gonna get to the end of this presentation. Make the most of your time here, so you will have a good memories in the future. I think I have addressed all the topics I did propose in the beginning, as I just telling you right now. So, but the last one. So let's talk about the last one, right? Someone said, "And whosoever shall compel thee go to a mile, go with him twain." And this is a Bible verse. So let's see what it is, right? As a teacher, I always doing my job as a teacher, right? Going to class and teaching. And then I did this, I already touched in this subject at the beginning of the presentation. I didn't have to do this, but I volunteered to give a lecture. So here I am going to the second mile. So they did not ask me to do this, but as a volunteer, I went there and asked the principal, well, can I volunteer to give a speech, a lecture here? And they were pleased to say, yes, you can do this. So I start advertising in my WeChat media. So they also did their advertisement at the university. So I had about 200 students on that class, on my lecture that day, right? So here I was, very well dressed up, prepared this presentation. The presentation was about never stop learning and don't mix up your priorities. So it was a fun for me to share my experience with them, with the knowledge that could improve their university lives. And then this guy here was the director of the chemistry building when I was in the place that I was teaching this lecture here, right? And he was staying there and watching my whole lecture. And after the lecture, he came and talked to me. He might maybe have liked what I have said in the lecture, and he proposed to me, well, can you can you teach my daughter English? Can you do this? And then you're gonna teach her and her cousins as well. And I did this, and this opportunity came because of my lecture in that building. So I have 10 days of teaching nice kids about English. I also had a lot of fun with them. And it was fun for me because I was here in China alone, right? I was spending my January vacation here, not going back to Brazil. So I was having nothing to do, and that was a good chance for me to make more friends with those kids. And this was her daughter, right? That I was supposed to be teaching English. And then this was me in class with them, right? Her daughter and her cousins here. I had so much fun teaching those kids for 10 days, and I was doing this for 2 hours a day. So they start 10 a.m. and then midday the parents came to pick up their kids, and usually we went to have lunch together. And it was really fun for me, right, to meet all the family of my students. So here we are in the restaurant, and I was still talking to them, and we having fun together, eating all after our classes. I have 10 days of classes with them. In the after this in January and in February they have the Spring Festival in China. Spring Festival is looks like the Christmas in the Western country. So this is when their families get together and they celebrate, and we do this in Christmas, but they do this in the Spring Festival. Christmas here in China is not a big deal. But then I have no family. I was here alone. And the nicest thing happened is all the families of those kids that I was teaching English invite me to spend one day with them because the Spring Festival is the whole week. So I have this nice experience because I did volunteer. I kind of volunteered to give the lecture. And all this is happening because of my volunteer experience. Because I would not have met uh, Mr. Thompson, right? Where is Mr. Thompson here? So here was Mr. I would not never have met him. And then because I met him, I was able to teach those kids, and I also able to be invited by their families to spend time with them. And this was wonderful. Sometimes we're in the restaurant. I went to the movies together with them. We walk in the park. We shoot fireworks together. I even, when they're home, like helping to make dumplings. It was nice, very, very, very nice. So here are more pictures. Here we are in the restaurant, here in their homes, here in the condominium. So even they give some gifts. You have a great potential. You have a great potential. You are far better off me in my age. This is what I would be telling my students in the university here in China, because most of them that was watching my class, they need to have a good level of English, otherwise they would not be in my class because I don't speak Chinese and my classes are in English. I remember when I was in university, I did not speak any English. I learned English after university when I went to do my master's degree, my MBA in United States. This is where I learned English. But they are already here in university time speaking good English. This is why they're in my class. So I usually tell them this, right? You have a great potential. You are far better off in my, but you are far better off than me at your age. So all that we talk about here in my presentation, my lecture, are about decisions. You have to decide what you want, right? So if you want to make more friends, you have to be the one who decide to take action. Because if you sit like me, putting a note in the table, you can sit here, I want to make friends. No one did sit with me. So I need to be the one who go and ask people, can I sit with you? Because you're taking the first step. And then I got a really good responses, right? So we talk a lot about all those things that I propose to talk in this lecture. I hope you learned something. And I wanted to finalize my lecture here sharing a very good story. It was report by Von John Featherstone. It was in the, well, let's go into the story. Many years ago, I heard the story of the son of King Louis XVI of France. King Louis had been dethroned and taken to the Bastille. The revolutionaries took the priest, his son, and took him to another place. Even though he was the heir to the throne, they thought if they could morally destroy him, he would never know the great and remarkable destiny that life has prepared to him. And so they carry him to a distant city, where they left the boy exposed to the most defining things the world could offer. They made him enjoy delicacies whose refinement would soon make him a slave to the appetite. Those who live around them use the lowest language possible. They force him to live with the obscene and depraved women. They expose the boy to disgrace and dishonesty. Day and night he was surrounded by the most terrible circumstances that could drag men's souls to the worst level of degradation possible. The prince received this treatment for more than 6 months, but not once did he give in to the pressure that was imposed upon him. Finally, after exposing him to all kinds of temptation, his captors inquired, why had he refused to give in to his appetites, and had not participated in anything they offered to him? They were things that would give him pleasure, and they were all within reach. The young man replied, I cannot do as I am asked. I was born to be king. The moral of this story is that we all have great potential, and that it is to be released. It depends on our actions, because the consequences will follow. If you do good, if you make good decisions, we will reap the consequences. The consequences will be good ones. If we study well, if you make friends, if you are nice to people, if you, you do those things, we're going to reap the consequences. My life is being blessed with all many things that I have done well. We're not perfect, right? But I'm doing the best I can. My experience here in China is being wonderful. I have learned so much from the Chinese people. They're working hard. They're good people. They make really really good friends. I never regret my experience of being here in China. And I want to leave this message with you. I hope you learned something today, and I hope you take the actions and improve your life on those four aspects that we talked today. Maybe we're going to see you next time. See you. Bye bye.